Welcome back to BST, everybody. I hope you're having a great night and morning if you're watching this in the morning. The NFL trade deadline was electric this year. A great trade deadline. I think in years past, it's just not been as exciting, not as exciting players being dealt. But in this year, man, there were some good players dealt, and we'll get into those. I want to talk about four of the major trades that happened yesterday. There were some other filler ones. I don't think they hold much significance in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, let's begin with the Jets' first trade of the day. They were not finished after this. Sauce Gardner is heading to Indianapolis. A pretty insane trade. And out of left field, to be honest. I don't think anybody saw this coming. Nobody knew Sauce Gardner was on the trade block. I mean, you knew the Jets were bad, but I think there wasn't a notion that the fire sale would be on like it has and how it has commenced. I don't think there was that notion, and I think a lot of Jets fans would say keep Sauce Gardner. I mean, you just paid the guy in the offseason. You just did. So you had, and he is only on his third year or fourth year of his deal, of his rookie deal, and he had his fifth year option. So you had 6 years of cost control, which will be going to the Colts. So let's start on the Colts side. You gave up a lot for him. You did. You gave up a lot for him. 2 first-round picks. 2 first-round picks and A.D. Mitchell. And here's the thing. Sauce Gardner, he's a good player, no doubt. I feel like you're paying 2 years ago, you're paying the price for Sauce Gardner 2 years ago. You're not paying the price for Sauce Gardner now. He's not the same player. He's not. 2 years ago, he was a lockdown corner. You know, he didn't get many interceptions, but you throw his way, it's a pass breakup. You know, stuff like that. And teams just really didn't throw his way that often. Now, he's just not that player. He's not. I think he's average. He has like a 102 passer rating when targeted. So I mean, he's not the same player. I will say he's a very long corner, and usually you want those guys to be good tacklers and good run defenders, kind of like Richard Sherman was. And he's better this year. He's been pretty bad in his career historically, but I think he's been better this year at tackling and run defending. So that's a good sign. And I just think they paid too much at the end of the day. I think this is a complete fleece by the Jets. And you can say what you want about the player that Sauce Gardner is. He's not worth 2 first-round picks. He's just not. And I mean, the Packers deal for Micah Parsons looks better and better after seeing what teams are giving up. I mean, would you rather pay Kenny Clark and 2 firsts for Micah Parsons, or would you ever rather pay 2 first-round picks and A.D. Mitchell for Sauce Gardner? I don't think that's a debate. And even for the Jets to acquire A.D. Mitchell is a pretty good thing. I mean, A.D. Mitchell's a young player who is talented and was kind of hyped up coming in to last season as a rookie. So who knows there? Just feels like a lot, man. But like I said, they have 6 years of cost control at $22 million a season. That's pretty decent. Just averaged out at 22. And money is crazy in the NFL. It may look like it's backloaded or front loaded or however they structure a contract. It's probably not going to be that way for the entire contract. The teams constantly move money to make things work. So I guarantee you by the end of his deal in Indianapolis, it's going to be way different than what it looks like now. So I'm not really worried about the money. And you have him for 6 years, and he's only 25 years old. I just think it's too much at the end of the day. And for the Jets, I mean, it's a good trade. You know, I mean, who really knows if the Colts are betting on their future, and I think they'll be a decent team. But what if Daniel Jones just sucks? That's a possibility. We've seen him not play well, and I'm not just saying that because he struggled against the Steelers, but we've seen him have really bad years, and I'm just wondering, like, there is a real possibility that these picks are very good, and that is very scary for the Colts. So who knows? Maybe Sauce Gardner just needed a change of scenery. When you've been on a losing culture and a losing team for so long, that wears on you. Especially for a corner who, that's corner is one of the toughest positions in the league. And if you're, obviously he was kind of labeled as a cocky player coming out of college, which is just awesome for a corner. I don't know why that's a downside. Like that's a great skill, a great attribute to have when you're a corner. But that was the reality, and you never know if being in a losing culture on a losing team, if you're just not totally in it. I'm not saying he's a self-centered guy, but more of a self-leaning guy. If that takes a toll on you and you can't play your best football, I think that's a possibility, especially over these past 2 years, which he has not been the same guy he was in his rookie year and in 2023. He just has not been coverage-wise. So who knows what they're getting? We'll see how it plays out. At this moment, I think the Jets easily win this trade, and the Colts easily lose this trade, just at this moment. But honestly, if you're not looking at the compensation, they immediately, fully healthy, they probably have the best cornerback room in the league. You have Travarius Ward, who's been playing very good this year. Now you have Sauce Gardner, and you have Kenny Moore in the slot, who's one of the best slots in the league. So, this is the best CB room in the league, and that's important coming down the stretch and into the playoffs. And they already got a pretty good D line. And we know the offense is good when they're humming. So this is an all-in move for the Colts. We'll see how it pays off, but they're 7-2. And, for Chris Ballard, the Colts GM, he was already on the hot seat coming in. What does he have to lose here? So I don't hate it for the Colts. I get it, but I think they massively overpaid, and the Jets easily won this trade. Let's get to the second Jets trade. Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys. We heard Jerry on Monday kind of not leak the trade, but give us the notion that a trade was going to occur, and we really didn't know who it was. Early in the day, we thought his big trade was Logan Wilson from Cincinnati, and we're like, really, Jerry? This is your big trade? This is a trade that you had everybody waiting for with Logan Wilson? And no disrespect to Logan, but come on. Like, really? And that would be such a Jerry move because he just loves to get it into the media, get everybody kind of buzzing about the Cowboys, get everybody talking about the Cowboys. But no, they make a massive trade here, and they acquire Quinnen Williams from the Jets. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's a good player. We'll start on the Cowboys side of things. He's a 27-year-old D tackle. They have him for 3 more years at $18 million per season, which is a good contract. And they're paying him like 23 and then 27 next year and the following year, but they're not paying him a ton this season. And like I said, they can move money around, but if you average it all out, it's $18 million per season, which is a good deal for a really good defensive tackle. But here's the thing, similar with Sauce, he's not the same player he was 2 years ago. In 2022, I think it was 2022 or 2023, like he was so elite at both run defense and rushing the passer. Like he had like 14 sacks as a defensive tackle and was amazing in run defense. And don't get me wrong, he is still an elite run defender. no doubt. Like, he's one of the best in the league at it still. But he's not the same player rushing the passer. I mean, go look at his pressures. They're down these past 2 years, and they're even worse this year. Sacks, he only has one this year. He's not the same pass rusher. And to me, I wonder how this really affects the Cowboys currently. Obviously, they're 3-5-1. I don't think they're making the playoffs this year. I don't think this is a move for this year. I don't know how this will truly affect them moving forward. I here's where I'm coming from. If you knew you wanted Quinnen Williams, and again, I don't know if Quinnen Williams was on the trade block to start the season for the Jets in their organizational mind. I don't know that. But let's say that he was, and they were willing to deal him then. Why not hold on to Micah Parsons, pay him his money? I get it. It's a lot of money. I get it. And trade a first and a second for Quinnen Williams. That's what they traded here. A first and a second. They would have still had those picks. Why not do that? Why not? You know? I think that would have been a great trade. Because then you have Micah Parsons and you have Quinnen Williams. And I know Jerry says the biggest thing is stopping the run. Well, if you traded for Quinnen Williams then, I mean, he does that at a very elite level. But that's just a hypothetical. That's what I think they should have done. But now, I mean, they got two pretty good run defenders in the middle with Kenny Clark and now Quinnen Williams. They have some playmakers, and really, their offense is set for the most part. If Javonte Williams can keep this going, I assume they're going to pay Pickens at this point, although they are getting into some dangerous territory with that. I think they're getting into kind of like Bengals territory where you're paying two receivers. I don't think what is it? I just said his name. Pickens. Yeah, Pickens. I don't think Pickens is going to get the same deal as T. Higgins. I think T. Higgins is a little bit better player, but it's close. I think they're kind of getting down that alley of paying two wide receivers a lot of money, paying the quarterback a lot of money, and I just think there's still a lot of pieces away on defense. I don't think Quinnen Williams is going to affect much. They might stop the run a little bit better, but I mean, the fact of the matter is they're getting beat through the air a lot too. And I don't think this changes anything because he's obviously not as good of a pass rusher as he's been in his career in the past. So he's not going to get pressure on the quarterback. And I think when you had Micah's pressure masked a lot of issues in terms of just getting the ball out faster. Now quarterbacks don't really have to worry about that. So there's still a ton of pieces away on defense, but the thing is they have the capital to do it. They still have 2 firsts this year and 1 first next year. So they have the capital, but this feels kind of like a panic move for Jerry a little bit. Quinnen Williams, good player. I'm not sure he's worth this, especially when, I mean, do you really think you'll have a good to great defense within the 3 years that he'll be under contract? And by the time he's 30, you just never know in this league when players are going to fall off a cliff. And once you get to that 30 mark, I think the good teams kind of start to get wary about giving players big contracts. And I mean, he's been an all-pro in his career, but that's just where my worries lie, is what is the realistic outcome of this trade in the grand scheme of things. But for the Jets, I mean, first off, it's the higher of the Cowboys' 2027 picks. So whichever is higher, the Packers pick or the Cowboys pick, will be sent to the Jets. That is a great trade term because if it was I think this would be a better trade for Dallas if it was the Packers pick, because I just assume the Packers will be a better team than Dallas in 2027. And maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just my assumption based off of what we know of each team at this moment. And they also give a 2026 second. So, the Jets, more draft capital. And I know a lot of Jets fans were a little bit happier about the Sauce Gardner deal, not as much about the Quinnen Williams deal here, because they really like Quinnen. And again, it's a player that you didn't feel like was really on the block, but I mean, he's 27 years old, and I get it. That's kind of like the prime of your career, but you just never know with these players when they're going to fall off, man. You just never know. And I think they're smart in just getting rid of some of their good players. They're a bad team. Get rid of your good players, stock draft picks. So for Dallas, I think it's a pretty even trade. I don't mind the trade for Dallas. I mean, anytime you can acquire a better player, a good player, it's a good trade. But I just don't know, does it make sense in the grand scheme of things? And for the Jets, let's just let's look at the Jets fire sale as a whole. So at the end of the trade deadline, there were rumors, is Breece Hall going to get traded to the Chiefs, to someone else? He requested a trade with an hour remaining. I think he kind of saw all of his buddies get traded. He's traded, and he's like, well, get me out of here too. I don't want to be here. So they were asking for a third for him. Seemed like too steep a price. Jermaine Johnson, they were asking for a second for him. Seemed like too steep of price. Neither one of those guys got traded. So after it's all said and done, in 2026, they'll have 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and 1 third-round pick. And in 2027, they'll have 3 first-round picks, 1 second-round pick, 1 third-round pick. That is an absolutely insane stockpile of top 100 picks. And my personal belief is they have one of the best situations for a young quarterback in the league. I mean, if you look at them, their O-line is pretty good. And they got some young pieces. They have Olu Fashanu, and they have Armand Membu, who's a rookie this year. Those are two good young tackles. And you got some other guys like Joe Tippmann, I believe. Elijah Vera Tucker, when he's healthy, is very good. I think their O-line is at a good spot for a rookie QB to come in and be pretty good. So I think that's a good situation. Depending on who that rookie QB is, though. I mean, you got guys like Mendoza and Dante Moore. And then in the future, who knows with Arch Manning? I mean, he hasn't looked great, but who knows if he'll be kind of like an elite prospect come 2027 when he's supposed to come out of the draft. So, I mean, I think they have a good situation for a young quarterback to come into this offense. They have Breece Hall. They have to pay him, but you have him. You have Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's one of the most talented wide receivers in the league. He's definitely a 1. So you have him. I think this offense is somewhat set. I think they could use some pieces, but I mean, you can supplement those with these draft picks years to come. You have to rebuild this defense for sure. This defense is very bad now. You got rid of your best D lineman. You got rid of your best corner. You lost DJ Reed to free agency, so you don't have him. Corner is just it's over. Nobody's out there at corner. I mean, this defense is really depleted. So now, I mean, you really didn't have much pressure, but now the pressure's on for the front office. That is, you have to hit with these draft picks now because you traded away 2 pretty good players, and I mean, Jets fans have been rebuilding for a while, and it looks like this might be one of the bigger rebuilds they've had. But I think it's the right move. You kind of just felt like you're 1-7, man. You're 1-7, and I mean, 2 years ago this was a roster that everybody thought could make a Super Bowl run, and now you're 1-7. So I think it's the right move, but they're gonna have to be patient with it. It's not gonna same the fans, the front office. It ain't gonna happen in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day, and with this draft capital, you're gonna have 5 first rounders over the next 2 years. I mean, that is some serious talent coming in, and if one of those can be a hit at the quarterback position, and maybe one can be an interior defensive lineman, one can be a corner, one can be an edge rusher, something like that, a safety. I mean, if they can get like Caleb Downs, like that guy's going to be a dog in the NFL. I mean, you're cooking with fire then. And they still got a ton, like, what is that? Like, what's the total top 100 picks here? So they got 10 total top 100 picks. If they can hit on like 8 of those and one is a quarterback, it'll be good. I've heard from people, if you don't hit on the quarterback, you're going to get fired. And that's the same thing here. If they don't hit, they could hit on 3 All-Pros, like a couple Pro Bowlers. If they don't hit on the quarterback, the front office will be fired. So that's where the pressure lies. They have to find their quarterback, and they have not done a good job basically since Mark Sanchez, and even him, he wasn't amazing. I mean, Zach Wilson bust, Geno Smith bust. I mean, Geno Smith has found success in the latter parts of his career, but I mean, still, and and Sam Darnold, same thing. Like, he's finding success now, but not with the Jets. They're going to have to find their QB. Bottom line, whether it be this year or next year. Justin Fields is not the guy. So I like this for the Jets, but I think everybody likes the sound of a rebuild, and until it's time to do a rebuild, and it's not going to be easy. Like, you can't just say, well, we have 10 top 100 picks over the next 2 years. It's not guaranteed value. It's not guaranteed good players. You still have to draft the guys. You could draft a bust for every pick, So I'm not going to act like it's a done deal. I'm not, because it's not. It's not a done deal. They still have to draft well. But I trust that they will. So should be interesting to see how it plays out. But big fire sale, probably one of the craziest ones we've seen in a while. Let's move on to the Saints and Seahawks trade. Saints trade Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks. I really like this trade for Seattle. You kind of needed a wide receiver too. I know they have Cooper Kupp, but he's been kind of banged up this year, and I just don't think he's the same player. And I think he kind of is just too similar to JSN. Obviously, like, JSN is a much better player at this point in both of their careers. What I'm saying is JSN's kind of more that. I mean, JSN can catch some deep balls, don't get me wrong. But JSN's just like that 15 to 20 yard catch guy every time. And I think that's kind of where Cooper Kupp is too, kind of just like a short, intermediate threat. And for Shaheed, I mean, this guy is very fast. Deep threat. I mean, I've always said I think wide receivers who can run straight and fast are kind of overrated in this league. But in this case, I think they're overrated, but every offense needs a guy who can run straight and fast. And I think I just hate it when teams are paying like second round picks for a guy who can run straight and fast. Like that's just ridiculous. Like, there's no need to do that. Like with the Chiefs and Worthy, like, yeah, he can run straight and fast, man. Like, but you paid a first round pick for him. So, I just don't think that's a good pick. But what I think this will do for the Seahawks is it's going to open up their offense. JSN has already been a monster this year. He leads the league in receiving. I mean, crazy good player. What this will do is, like, you can run like a clear out with Shaheed, because I mean, teams have to respect his speed. clear out with Shaheed and just run the digs right into that zone where he clears out all day long. All day long. I mean, it's going to be so fun to watch. Honestly, I don't think it's impacted me as great as just a straight receiver as it will be just as opening up this offense. I know I have firsthand experience with the Packers. When Christian Watson is healthy and he's running like post routes, go routes, just to clear out, like our offense functions so much better because he's just clearing out space for our intermediate threats like Dobbs and Kraft and Golden and Wicks to just work. And I think it's going to be a similar effect here. And he's a free agent at the end of the year, so we'll see what happens. He has prior experience with Kubiak, so you like that. And they only gave up a fourth and a fifth. I mean, for the Saints, at that point, you knew you had to trade one of these guys. They had value in them. Olave ends up not being dealt, but I don't hate it for the Saints. I mean, might as well, like he ain't doing much for your team. So, and he's 27. I get it for the Saints. I get it for the Seahawks. I think it's a fine trade for both, but I certainly like it more for the Seahawks just for what it will do in their offense. And they need to keep up with the Rams. I think we said it on the last podcast episode that those matchups will be amazing. And I just really think this strengthens a strength already. I would have maybe liked them to trade Tariq Woolen, maybe. I know that was a rumor for a while. And also upgrade the run game. Breece Hall, Devon Achane. Dolphins were reluctant to trade Achane. And Jalen Waddle, for that matter. I know there were rumors, but Dolphins decided to keep those guys. But yeah, not a bad trade for either. But I think this is a big trade for the Seahawks. Finally, the last one we'll talk about. Jacoby Myers, the Jaguars. Raiders acquire a fourth and a sixth for him. So actually less draft capital than Rashid Shaheed got for the Saints. Which is kind of crazy. I think Jacoby Myers is a better player than Shaheed. I think he's had a down year, but he's been injured. He's been a very consistent player these past 5 years, just in terms of what he can do on the field. I think he's a pretty underrated route runner. Yeah, I really like this for the Jags. I mean, he's that intermediate guy who can run digs, just get over the middle and catch the ball. And I think you kind of have a deep threat in BTJ now and intermediate threat in Jacoby Myers. And with Hunter injured, I think this is a trade you kind of had to make. And it's not a lot to get Jacoby Myers, and I just like it. And once Hunter comes back, I think it could be one of the stronger receiving cores in the league. I just think this is a good trade for the Jags. They have to try to kickstart Trevor Lawrence a little bit. And overall for the Raiders, I mean, they didn't trade Max Crosby, didn't trade Michael Mayer. So, I mean, you get some value for a guy. Your season's over, so you might as well get some value for a guy, And he had been kind of on the trade block for a while, a little bit frustrated with the team. So, yeah, I don't mind it for either side here. But yeah, that will do it. Like I said, a little disappointed. Some other trades didn't go down. Thought there could have been some more fun outcomes at the end. Kind of mad my Packers didn't do anything, but honestly, I should be used to that. We never do. But yeah, fun trade deadline. Like, subscribe, comment. Hope you enjoy. And we'll be seeing you in the next one.